You are all on record as favoring, I believe, the elimination of ICE. With Donald Trump as president, that's almost certainly not going to happen. So my question is, how would you propose to reform ICE? Jordan Wood.
Yeah, I believe that when I say we have to abolish it, what I mean is that we need a new law enforcement agency that has the trust of the people. Because if an agency, which is the purpose is to protect and serve and enforce our immigration law, which I believe is deeply broken and needs to be reformed, we need to have an agency that people trust. And what happened in Biddeford was the result of the fear that ICE has instilled in our communities. When a member of our community who is here legally is shot trying to flee a scene, he had a 3-year-old in the car. He was not trying to run over anybody. Nobody in a moment like that, unless they were in a life and death situation to protect their child, would do what he did. So I think we need a new agency, but the U.S. Senate is controlled. It controls our taxing and spending. It's in the Constitution. I would not approve a budget that did not reform ICE to include no longer being able to wear masks, IDs, body cameras. I mean, there should have been body cameras on these agents, but there has to be real accountability and prosecution of those that break the law.
Shenna Bellows.
I've been really struggling this week because Johan and his 3-year-old daughter were murdered in Maine streets by the government. And we say we don't know the facts, but we know the facts. He was a good guy. All of his neighbors said so. He was legally here. And you know what? It doesn't matter. Nobody deserves to get shot and killed in the streets when their 3-year-old daughter is still in her pajamas. And there are other kids and other families nearby just getting ready to work, getting ready to go about their day. So what I want to say is I remember when there was no ICE because I was an ACLU organizer. In 2003, it was one of my first campaigns. They said we needed ICE to replace INS. Well, I remember a day when the thugs weren't in the government and they didn't have arms.
Troy Jackson.
So, I mean, I support law enforcement, but ICE is not law enforcement. It's a rogue agency that goes around doing things that they're being told to on high. You know, this winter, whenever they were here, we saw a lot of people here in Portland that were pulled out of their vehicles. Even one law enforcement themselves was pulled out of a vehicle. Other people at schools, churches, and things like that. And Susan told us that she had used her power to get ICE out of here. Well, now we have somebody that was actually murdered here in Biddeford under her watch. And it's horrific, it's sad. I mean, at 26 years old, I had a 3-year-old son. I mean, I can't imagine anyone thinking, and the other thing about this is, we don't have to wait. I mean, he was the wrong person. They were after the wrong person, and they shot him. We do not need that type of law enforcement. I mean, that they need to be dismantled because they give us nothing in this country but heartache and racism.
Nirav Shah.
I am beyond furious about the murder that happened on our streets here. And that is in part because it reminds me of my own family. My parents were immigrants to this country. They came here to Chicago in the early 1970s. My mom didn't speak a word of English when she came here. And I think about how terrified she would have been had she known that the president's goons were patrolling the streets and might snatch her up. So yes, I'm absolutely furious. And Rob, you asked about how we would reform it. I don't think this agency can be reformed. The rot has gone to the core, and that's why we must abolish it. Is that going to take some time? Perhaps, but that must be our goal. What are the interim steps that we can take? Well, first thing, we have to acknowledge there's a reason why Susan Collins has not reformed it, and that's because she's been bankrolling it since the agency's inception. How might we actually put safeguards around ICE? Number one, we must put appropriations riders on that ban masks from federal agents. Number two, we must require actual wearing of body cameras. The money's been there, but ICE and Susan Collins have done nothing to put them in place. And number three, we must lift the immunity that has protected them from prosecution. Now is the time to actually introduce accountability, and I will as our next senator.